Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Joshua Siliruka here, your host of the Impact Podcast Show. I'd like to firstly say thank you guys for watching, for all those that are watching on YouTube, and for those out there that are listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I just want to say thank you guys for tuning in. In this episode, we have a great man that's on the other side of the state in Australia. But before I do introduce him, I want to kind of state our mission. Our mission is simple. Our goal is to impact the one. It's pretty straightforward. That's the goal. Just wanting to impact one person. You know, the way we see it is if you impact one person, that's a win for your day. That's a win for us too. So hope you guys are getting impacted by listening. Make sure that you guys are tuning into our Instagram. That's our main platform. For any updates or any questions that you guys got, please send us a direct message, and we're also on Facebook and Twitter too. So that would be cool. So in saying that, guys, we're gonna get straight into the podcast because I've got a magnificent man on the other side of this call. I was gonna give you guys a brief story about this guy. I would call him Kid back in the days because he was a little kid to me. He was one of those one of the boys back in the days that we met through primary school. We went through the same primary school. I think he was a year below me, and played things like Ostag footy together. This kid has a massive heart for footy, that's for sure. Back in the days, and I can see that right now still to this day. And I remember in high school there was a moment where he told us that he was going to Melbourne. I remember that clearly. It wasn't cool like for some of us. To me, this guy has a massive heart, not just for, the footy, but also in general. I know that he has a big story too that he's going to share to you all, especially on, the way that he came to Australia, and, his upbringing. And I can't wait for you guys to hear his story. And he's also actually right now, he moved to Melbourne, and a few years later I found out that he's actually a professional referee. So we've actually got a professional referee in Rugby League on the other side of this call. And guys, I would like to introduce to you all Mohammad Husaini, aka Smiley.
Hey bro, how you going?
Bro, I'm good, man. How you going?
Yeah, good, thanks. Pleasure to be on.
Bro, I just want to say, man, thanks for reaching out. Bro, it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a few years, more than a few years, I reckon, before I moved, and I think we've sort of sent a few messages back and forth over the years, but nothing too much, up until now.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I'm actually excited to get into this podcast. Just because, bro, I feel like you've got a mad story that a lot of people can, relate
Yeah,
to. And especially in the rugby league scene, which we'll get into later on.
yeah, of course. Yeah, because I've been following your podcast lately, and when you first started it off, you had a few episodes going on, and I thought you're doing something really good here. If you keep going and pushing, maybe one day I want to jump on. And as you kept going, you had more people on, kept coming, and I'm like, you know what, maybe I would, that one little message that I reached out to you, like, I'm happy to jump on if you need someone just for the hour or something. I was like, yeah, I'll share a bit of my story and get some insight for people.
Yeah, bro. No, 100%, man. I feel like, when you reached out to me, I was like, yeah, bro, I'm gonna get him on. Because footy's back on. Footy just got back on, and
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like, it'll be a really good topic for people to look into, especially on what you do. Being a professional referee down in Victoria, like really a part of that crew, and so yeah, man, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I feel like people are gonna get inspired by this, but
yeah.
but yeah, man. You know what we're gonna do? Firstly, I want to kind of like start off by introducing yourself, because I feel like there are people out there that may know you, but
Yeah.
just for all those that don't know, that don't really like know much about you, man. Could you kind of share about who you are?
Yeah, of course. My name's Mohammad Husaini. I grew up in Sydney, like you said. We went to the same primary school, and then from where we went to the same high school, which was Fairfield. I moved to Australia from Afghanistan when I was very young. I think it was back in 2006, January. So I'm 21 now, and I'm living in Melbourne. I'm at Deakin University. I'm doing my bachelor's degree in primary teaching. I'm 2 years into it now, so I've still got like two and a half years left on that. I'm still working at the moment. I'm manager at Macca's, and just, like you said, doing rugby league, refereeing at the side. So it's working out pretty well for me. So I'm happy with the way I'm going in life. Other than that, outside all of that, I'm just at home or I'm just outside with friends, just chilling. Yeah, nothing too much going on.
But that's actually crazy, bro. I actually did not know that you were studying a bachelor's of primary education,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
That's crazy. Because, bro, at the moment, like, I'm a shooting well being support officer. So I actually work in a primary school. Not really
yeah,
much teaching, but like kind of doing a lot of well being stuff. So, like looking after kids that, that misbehave. The boys back in the days, the
yeah,
ones that were rough.
yeah.
Yeah, I look after them, which is pretty cool. So, yeah, man, man, that's crazy, man. I didn't even know that.
Yeah. Because I started off originally when as soon as I finished school, I got a decent ATAR, so I was happy with it, and then I got into business, which is what I always wanted, right through high school. I got into business, and I went to my uni, so which is the same uni that I got into, Deakin University in Melbourne. Got into it. I was maybe a trimester in. I was studying it, and I'm like, oh, it's not what I'm liking here. I thought it would be a bit different, and then I got into it by the end of that first semester, and I was just like, nah, I don't think this is for me. Like, and I just felt it straight away.
Yeah,
I was like, this isn't for me. Like, I know the time's right. If I'm going to make a change, it's got to be now. Otherwise, I've got to stick to it. And if I do stick to it, I may not like it, for the rest
yeah,
of my life. So I made the decision there, and then just to change there, and then I had the rest of the trimester off. So the rest of the year off, I had just to think about what I wanted to do next. So and then moved into primary teaching the following year. So, and then, yeah, now second year into it. So I'm really happy with my decision and I'm loving the course. So I'm not too far from graduating, but just got to keep going until I finish.
yeah. No, it's cool, man. And like you also mentioned too about work, like you're not just like you do professional, like refereeing, in the in rugby league. So you do that, man, and you're also a manager.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a fully full on week. It's a bit of a tight schedule. So anything that happens, I do everything through my phone calendar. So anything that happens, I got it through there, so I know what I'm doing next. I get notifications like you're 30 minutes away from work or something like that. Like you need to be there now, leaving home, stuff like that. That just helps me out a bit. And when I've got a
yeah,
pretty long week, so at the moment it's not too bad because like I'm not going out as much and like because of the whole coronavirus, everyone's just staying inside. The only place I'm going to is work and back home.
Hmm.
Everything else is just pretty much like we're doing now. It's through online, through Zoom chats, video calls, phone calls, messages. So other than that, it's been pretty well actually. I'm pretty happy with the way I'm going this year.
Yeah. Nice, bro. And so, how do you manage it, man? Like you've got. So I heard that you're studying a bachelor's of primary education, and then you're working as a manager at
Yeah.
McDonald's, and you're also a referee. Is there anything else, bro, that I missed out on?
I don't know, it just gets pretty full on, especially during summer because it's more during summer. But at the moment, it's not too bad. Like I said, I do like 4 shifts a week usually, or 5 shifts a week at Macca's, which they're pretty full on shifts. Like between 8 and 10 hour shifts. So that takes up most of your day if you have one shift, and then anytime you get spare, so you come home and you study because even if it's 1 hour worth of notes or 30 minutes worth of notes that I put in, that's better than I've contributed compared to what I did before. So as long as I'm putting in something towards uni, because that's my real side hustle. That's the end goal for me. Like as long as I still have the job right now, and I'm still doing rugby league on the side. My education at the moment, I feel like it's more important to me because like that's where I want to be in the end in like a three-year time or 4-year time. Have that goal of as a teacher and be there. So anytime I get spare, I'm putting that work into studying or I'm putting that work into rugby league and training a bit. Or other than that, obviously you got to have a few rest days. So every now and then, you got to have a rest day or a rest night where you're doing completely nothing, just relaxing. Where I'm just at home, just watching Netflix, honestly, like everyone else.
Yeah, man. Cause yeah, man. Like lately, I've been getting like some response from people, and they always ask me, how do you do what you do? Like, how are you able to plan? How are you able to kind of get everything done?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
let's be real here, man. You've got people out there that probably only have two things that they've got to do, or like they probably work and they probably have a side hustle, right? And then you have
yeah,
people like ourselves who have like more than 4 or 5 other things that we're doing, and it's crazy. I tell people, hey, it's not what you do, it's how you manage it, right? Like it's how you manage the things that you do. Like, that's why I was asking you that question. I was like, how is this guy able to be a professional referee, be able to study at uni, and then be a manager? Guys, manager. I didn't say a worker. He's a manager. The manager at McDonald's. It's like, you know what I mean? So it's like, how are you able to carry that? And I guess it's because, it's all about how you manage. And I love that you mentioned about calendars. That you have a calendar on your phone, because that's exactly what I do, man. Like, I have everything all scheduled. And I guess people need to realize that, when you come to this, what I would say an elite level, when you become like more of a professional, you start to think like a professional.
100%.
Yeah, man. So, bro, what kind of made you get into, what kind of keeps you going in terms of carrying it? Because it is a big load. Like, what kind of helps you to carry?
I don't really know. Like, to be honest with you, like, I think it's more like the end goal for me. Everything I look towards, for like, if you look at my uni degree, the end goal is to finish it and to get my full-time job as a primary teacher. That's the end goal. And then you look at Rugby League, the end goal is, if I can make it and if there's potential there, I'll go for it to become an NRL referee. And then with work, if there's potential there, and I'll keep moving up the ranks, keep moving up through head office and stuff like that. So there's always an end goal with everything that you keep working towards. I think that's the only thing that keeps me motivated. And as long as there's something there, I'll keep pushing for it.
I love that, man. I love that. It's like having the end in mind, eh? Always having that,
100%.
What's the goal at the end? And then kind of like looking back and right, okay, if I am here right now, if I'm a manager and they ask me for like obviously another position, it's like, all right, cool, then I'm taking those next steps.
Yeah. And that's with everything. I think if you look towards the end goal with anything you're doing, I think there's always potential there. If you just like you said at the start, I think you got to believe in the process, and there's always a process for everything. And as long as you're pushing, then I think there's always potential there. So never give up, I reckon.
Yes, man, 100%, 100%. But yeah, man, bro, I want to touch base on your story. One thing I believe in, man, is that before seeing the glory, there's always a story. There's always a story behind the glory. And I feel for you, man, like, I've seen the things that you've been putting up, bro, in terms of, like, you being a professional referee. Actually, a few days ago, I actually watched your highlights. Now, crazy enough, it's the highlights for people, right? Like, it's highlights for the boys or for those that are playing. To me, I'm like, bro, this is probably the first time ever, right? This is the first time ever that I've actually watched a highlight video focusing on the referee. Which is, bro, for me, I'm like, bro, it's totally different. It's totally different because I was watching you in the way that you were, that you're calling the shots, and I'm like, okay, bro, this guy's actually like legit. Which is like, it is expected. I don't see, the referee association allowing you to come up if you're not professional enough to actually make those calls. So yeah, man, I want to kind of get into that. Like, I do see you as, a person, like, you did make your debut into the, the SG ball scene last year, and obviously there is more to coming through. But yeah, man, I want you to kind of get into like the story. I want to know the story about you, man, about how things were when you were a lot younger, because I feel that there's always like what I would say a valley low season, or a season that things aren't going too well, or that you experience some sort of trial. So yeah, man, did you want to kind of like touch on that in terms of your upbringing?
Yeah, of course. Like I said at the start of the podcast, I came from Afghanistan when I was really young. This was back, and I moved here to Sydney in 2006. I was very young. When I say no English, and I actually do mean it, I had no English, and I got thrown straight into grade 2 in Auburn Public. Grade 2, I reckon that was the hardest thing ever. And I reckon by the end of the week, I picked up English, and by the looks of it, like, I can speak it pretty fluently now, so which is good. And then I stayed there for a couple of years, and then finished. No, I think I stayed there and then I moved to Fairfield Public. That's what I remember. And then I started meeting all the boys there, and I reckon grade 5 and 6, we started becoming a bit of a close bond, and then we went through high school together, and then we met a few other people. Like, I've met you through primary as well. And then there's that bondship. I think all the boys were starting, every recess and lunch. Everyone just together, nowhere else. That was good. And then from there, I finished year 10 there. And then at the end of year 10, when you said, I had to one day didn't break the news to everyone, like, look, God, fortunately, I'm moving. Probably the saddest moment ever, to be honest with you. Moved from there to Melbourne. I've been here since year 11, so which is the start of the year, so year 11, 12, so nearly 5 years now, I think.
Yeah.
So, and then from that 5 years time, like I did year 11. I think the funniest thing about this is like, because I did all my selections for my subjects moving into year 11 at, at Fairfield.
Yeah.
And I moved over here, and then I still remember being with the assistant school principal, and then he was like, "Oh, what subjects do you want to do?" And he put the paperwork in front of me and said, "These are the subjects." And I looked and I was like, "Where's the sport classes,
Yeah.
or PE classes?" And he goes, "We don't do them here in Melbourne." I was like, "What? Sorry?" I was like totally confused and lost. I'm like, "What's going on here?" I don't even feel like I'm in Australia anymore,
True.
Like all we always wanted to do was just do sport, even like in high school together,
Yeah, man.
Did all those recess and lunch sessions. All we wanted to do was sport, except for those really hot days where everyone's
Oh
like,
yeah, bro.
everyone's
Seeds,
like
man.
school today, like
Yeah.
there's no point running around, like, and that was the first reaction I had in Melbourne. I'm like, fuck, this is totally different, like I'm not used to this, like everything that's evolved around me is around sport, and especially rugby league. So and I still love the game till this day, and then I was like really confused about it, and then from there just finished year 11 and 12. Got my ATAR. I was pretty happy with it, I put the work in for it, so I can't complain too much. It is what it is. Got into business, like I said, and then wasn't liking it. And then funny enough, like I didn't mention this before, when that little break I had where I was on a bit of break from uni, I went to a different job. Like I quit Macca's, and I was doing I was a real estate agent for 4 months, I think. I was a sales agent. I was there for 4 months because that was one of my other things to try out, that was 4 months. It was pretty well. Like I really liked the job, and then didn't work out in the end. And then had a month off and then got back into Macca's. And then funny enough, before I know it, coming back as a crew, and then I got promoted, and then just been a manager since then. And I've been at the job and then just starting at the same time. And as the years gone on, like same as rugby league has moved on with me. And I'll touch in base with that as well. Like as each year has gone on, like the progression I've made, I don't think anyone has made as well. Like, and I know my coaches have mentioned this as well. Like the progression that I've made, like I don't think they've seen anyone else jump from one year to another that big.
Yeah.
In terms of representative level and state levels as well. So like I'm pretty happy with the way I'm going. There's always room for improvement, like they say. So really happy with it.
Man, yeah, I love that, man. I love that you shared it like that because, as I mentioned, like before the glory, there's always a story, and I see in you, man. I see that you went through a lot. You went through a lot. You came from Afghanistan, and came here, went to Auburn, and you had literally no English.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You had no English at all, and like, bro, I can truly vouch for that. I can see that is the truth, because if I was a person that came from Tonga, right, and I'm coming here, I have completely no English. Obviously, I'd find it hard, even actually fit in the system of society, like in Australia, like
It's tough.
yeah, it's tough there. So, bro, how did you go? Because obviously, like you were young back then, right? You were young, young Afghan boy, like in primary school. How did you kind of manage yourself to be okay, or to overcome those situations?
I don't remember too much, but I reckon it's just like my parents said, like to go in there, learn and try my best. I reckon if you're trying your best with something you're uncomfortable with or an unknown environment, then I reckon you'll come out better the next day. Or if it's not the next day, I think there will definitely be some good results to show in the weeks to come. So for me, it was just about trying my best. Like you said, like there's not much you can do when you have no English, You just got to keep trying, I guess. And you just got to keep learning before you know it. You progress a bit more, and as you're progressing each day, you're making better progression than you did yesterday. So that's something to be happy about, and that's something to take out of. Like you got to take something out of, and that's the biggest thing I learned over the years. Now is that if I'm reflecting on it and going back on what I've learned, then that's the good thing about it.
Yeah, no, 100%, man, and I love that. I look at you, man. I look at where you're at right now. I'm like, bro, there's got to be something that kind of triggered him. There's always a motivation, or there's always a drive that we all have. And so, knowing your story, man, the story that you went through, coming as an Afghan boy, and then having little to no English, and that's already a barrier in itself. And then moving to Fairfield Primary, that's where I met you. And then after that, going to high school, and then transitioning. Like, in saying, with all that, man, like, what was like kind of the one thing that really inspired you? Was there like something that sparked in you, or was there something inside of you that made you keep on going?
It wasn't until after I graduated school, believe it or not. Like, when you know how all your school teachers, your career teachers, they all come up to you and they ask you like what you want to do. Like, I don't know how you guys did it in Year 12 back in Sydney, but like they ask you a lot in Melbourne, like what course you want to get into or what course ideas you have in mind. And at the time, I had no idea. And this is term 4 we're talking, and exams are like a few weeks away. And I'm like, nah, I'm like the only student the whole year 12. And I'm like, nah, I have no idea what I want to get into. Let's just see how it plays out with my results and everything. And then we can sort of go from there. And then I think that's where the spark happened for me. Like sometimes you don't know what you want until after it happens. Like for me, it was like after the exams, then it sort of sparked for me. Like I wanted to get into business, and like I had a backup plan, which was always going to be teaching. Like that was the spark for me. And rugby league was always there as well. Like I knew it, but like I learned this through Sydney as well. Like you can't rely on sport for the rest of your life. You got to have a backup. And I think they do that in the NRL now anyway. With all the players, they have education programs. Like you got to be working, I think, or you got to be studying when coming through the under 20s, I think. So it's the same thing. What I thought was like, I know if I think I was thinking as a player back then. I was like, if I don't like I wasn't the best. Like I was saying, look, if there's no potential there, I've got to have something as a backup plan, which is always going to be my education. I think that was the spark for me.
Yeah, man. I love that, man. I love that because, I think about you and where you're at right now, and I look at there had to be some sort of trial that you went through, and I love what you're doing, bro. I love what you're doing. There's not a lot of people that can do what you do, especially at your age. The age that you're at, but I'm not even like that old.
To be honest with you, it's a probably tough gig, but like
man.
any 15-year-old that I see, or like you got to be minimum 12 to sign up. But like anyone I see, and if you don't think you're good at playing, or if you don't want to play but you still want to stay involved in the game, I think referees the way, and you're earning money on the side as well. Like to be honest, it's pretty good money as well that they're paying you. For me, like. The way it happened, like I'll share some story about you.
Yeah,
like
bro, go ahead.
Yeah. Like I was playing at the time, so I'm in year 11. As soon as I moved to Melbourne, I played for my local club, which was Casey Warriors. Pretty good club with a lot of history, some good volunteers there. Played my whole year 11 there, and then went into pre-season, going into the next year, year 12. And then I was like, I've got to make a sacrifice here. It's either rugby league or school. And then I made the tough choice, and I went, you know what, at this stage in life, I want good results. Like if it's a year away from rugby league, like I can survive that. So I took the year off from rugby league, like decided to just completely take it out. I still stayed a bit in touch with all my mates and everything like that, but it was just year 12, like that's the year you want to focus on with some good results. So I like completely took it off, and then I finished year 12 after that, and then what happened was like, and then when I'm going into preseason next year, so this is after year 12, I was like, I don't want to play anymore. Like I've just lost the interest of playing now. So I took the whole year off again. So this is the second year I've taken off now. And then back end of the year, so the 3/4 of the season's played already here in Victoria. And then I saw some ad, I think, that popped up on Facebook. And they said, refereeing and this, that, because I was always keeping in touch with the results of like how the boys were going. Yeah. So somehow an ad popped up as well on Facebook about refereeing, and now, I was like, I'll do it. I just like, if it's just 1 or 2 games a week and I'm earning a bit of money, they said like you're earning side money. Like, so I was like, yeah, I'll do it. I sent an email out, and before you know it, like 2 minutes later, the secretary got back to me. I signed up through email, did all my modules. Like they were pretty easy back then, but now they're a bit complex. So I got signed up. I think this was Tuesday or Wednesday, and I was doing this in the lecture, to be honest, while I was at uni, because the lecture was sort of boring. And and then they got back to me straight away, and then this was a Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Saturday I was already out refereeing. Like I was doing some touch judging, the senior men's and everything. This is first grade we're talking about in Victoria here that I got thrown into, and was pretty interesting, and that's what happened. There was 3 weeks left before final, so I did only 3 weeks, and then we went into final season, and then there was another 3 weeks of final, so I did only 6 weeks, and then that was it, and that's all I did. And the highest grade I did that whole year was under nines. That was the highest grade.
True.
As a refereeing with the whistle. So when I say refereeing, like most people don't understand. So when someone says you're the referee, that means you're the guy with the whistle, and if you're touchy or you're running the line, you're the guy on the flag. Yeah, there you go. So the highest I did as a referee was under nines, and then the highest I did as a touch judge was just men's, first grade and everything. And then I went into preseason the next year, and then like, you got some potential here, like let's just push for it, like. And this was my first ever coach on my first ever day. He's like, I can see potential already. Like, I'm like, oh, are you serious? It's like, you know the rules already. Like, how do you know the rules? I'm like, oh, I just watch Rugby League a lot. And then, but he's like, this is under eights. Like, the rules are different. How there's a lot of different rules for minis and mods. I'm like, oh, I just read the emails you guys sent. He's like, oh, no one reads them. And I'm like, oh, well, you guys send them out for a reason. So I'm like, I had to read them, I was like, oh, I can see potential here. And then went into preseason going into my second year, right? Or it's not even my second year. I only did 6 weeks. Going into it, and then first week that I got appointed for the next first round of the year was women's tackle, which was first grade for women's, and we're talking from under nines, we're talking to women's first grade. So that's 10s, 11s, 12s, 13s, 14s, 15s, 16s, and 18s skipped. Went from there, jumped all the way to women's first grade, which was a big jump. And then before I know it, I was doing really well. I stayed up at that level. So I didn't even do 10s, 11s, 12s, 13s, 14s. So I sort of skipped all those, jumped like, that's what I was talking about at the start, like the progression I've made. Like a lot of people are surprised about how quick I've made it. And to be honest, I'm a bit surprised as well. But like, I know I've put the work in, like I said, the little things like reading the emails that they send out to me, I think that helped me, or knowing the rules before I start, So that was the big jump I made. So, and then that was like, oh, geez, I'm really liking what I'm doing as a rugby league referee now. And I just kept going, to be honest, and I've just enjoyed it ever since.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, man. That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing the way you shared that, because you being a referee, right? Like, people don't realize there's actually a story behind you actually becoming a referee. And bro, I love that you actually, like, I always believe that everything happens for a reason. I believe that, there was a reason why you took that step away and then got into, refereeing.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, what was the challenges, man? Like, what was the challenges of you? Because you mentioned that, like, just then, that you mentioned that you went from, like, refereeing under nines to actually heading into the big leagues. Like, obviously, that's a massive jump, man. Like, what's some of the things that you learned from
there's
that?
There's a bit of pressure, like, even though it's local footy, but, like, there's still a bit of pressure. Like, the crowds come out, like, people come out, watch their local footy games, So there's a lot of pressure on you, and you don't want to make a bad call, and it's something that you have to get used to. Like, you'll make a bad call, and everyone's going to see it, or the players are going to see it, and you just got to own up to it. And that's one of the things that I didn't do at the start. And I was like, nah. So that's one of the things I learned over the years, like that comes with the pressure as well, like, and just got to stay calm in the moment. And I think one of the difficult challenges I faced, like, talking now about it, was that year. So the 2018 year that I'm talking about, like, I made the big jump. I reckon I had the best year talking. Did so well going into it, and then I didn't make my debut, but I think this was for back then when Victoria wasn't with New South Wales, we were with Queensland. So we're associated with them because the way Melbourne Storm does it, I don't know. So the under 20s, under 18s and 20s were with Queensland. There were Colts and Fogs, and Mal Meninga Cup and everything, all of that. And I got the call on a Sunday. I just finished work at 10 o'clock and my coach called me. He goes, oh, are you doing anything? I said, no, I'm just finished work and I'm heading home. He goes, oh, go home, pack your stuff and come straight to the ground, I'm like, oh, why, what's that? He goes, oh, you're going to make your standby debut. So referees, for rep games, we've got standby. So it's like an 18th man you have for rugby league. So we've got one for referees as well. So the referee's called a standby. He goes, you're going to make a standby debut. I was, oh, geez. So I made my standby debut that year as well, which is, like, you're talking like 4 months ago, I was doing under nines.
Yeah.
I made that big jump. Like, I was so shocked. I was like, what is going on here? Like, I have no idea. And there's other people that have been in the association, they've been in the system for 3 or 4 years and they still haven't had the shot. And I get the shot straight away, the one chance I get it, and I grabbed it with two hands and I went for it straight away. So that happened, and then a few weeks later, and then he gave me a call. He goes, do you know what you're doing the first weekend of June? I said, no, I'm not no idea. That's 2 months away, coach. Like, I don't have anything planned. He goes, well, get ready. I'm going to send you over. Send you over to Brisbane. There's a tournament over there. There's a men's tournament, and the NRL is going to pay everything for you as long as you go over there. And you just got to ref and just make a good impression, And I was like, oh, no worries. Like, so I did that, went over there, and I reckon I'm not sure if you guys know or anything, but like Steve Clark from the NRL, he did about like just over 300 games of NRL, did loads of state of origin game and a few international games. So he was there with us. He was looking after us for the week, for the full 5 days we were there in Brisbane. At the East Tigers home ground, we were there, like all the games were played there. He looked after us. He booked all the accommodation. And like to learn off the guy that's done over 300 NRL games, like that was a lot for me. And I was like, geez, this is like real stuff for me, Like, it's the same for players when they meet all the NRL players and they have a chat with them and everything. But like I'm hanging out with the guy who's done 300 NRL games for like 5 days straight. Like, this is amazing. So that year went pretty well. And then finals comes around. And then grand final week, we get, as referees, we get our rep appointments. We call them appointments. You get them on Tuesday night, but with our local in Victoria, we get them Wednesday night. So you know what games they're refereeing on the weekend. They send it through the email. So I got the email, and I had a pretty good year. And I'm thinking and there's a lot of good experienced referees, so I'm not expecting too much. So, and then the appointment comes out, and I got an under 14s one. I'm like, oh geez, I'm pretty happy with that. Like, I'm stoked, Like last year I was doing under 9s. Yeah. And under 14s grand final this year. So I can't complain. I'm happy with the way that is. And I went out there. I was really ready. Went out there and ref that game. I'm talking two tough teams. Like, these two teams, just big rivalry against each other. The last two encounters that they've played, both games have just finished like within, like I'm talking a try or 2 points that they finished. And then they played in week 1 finals. One of them lost. One of them went straight to the grand final. And then the other one had to come back, and they both played again. So they played each other 4 times, including the grand final. So that year, and then it was halftime, and then Cyril, and my coach comes up to me. He goes, good referees don't have extra time at the end. And I was like, oh, geez, putting pressure on me. Joke, he said that to me. And I was like, oh, geez. And then I think one team scored a try. I'm like, oh, okay, thank God. So that was 4-0. And then the other team scored, it was 4-4. And then, like, I'm talking the toughest game I've ever had at that age. And this is under 14s. I'm like, geez, these guys are like making it hard for me. Like, I'm puffed out for 1 second. Like, I've never been puffed out as much as I was in that under 14s. And it's under 14s. Like, I was like, what is happening here? And then the game, back end of the game, one of the teams scored a try. And then I looked over to my touch judge, because you got to confirm with these touch judges before you put the try. Like, it's just like a simple rule that you got to follow. Like, just in case they've seen something that you've missed as a referee. And I look over, my right side, he's good. And my left side, I look at my other touch judge, and they've got the hand over like that, which means forward pass. And then I call back and I call forward pass. And then it ended up, the way that everyone else saw it, it's like I cost them the game. So, and then I didn't know it. It was next to the try line, so I didn't know it. So the way it was behind the goalpost, there was a parent recording that. I was recording it. And then before I knew it, the next day or that night, they posted it on Facebook. And they sort of like, and I'm talking about 4 or 5 different people that posted it on Facebook and social media. And the way they said it was, this referee cost us the game. His name's here. So they put my name on it, like they full spelt my name correctly as well, which was like Mohammad Husaini and everything. They put it down. He cost us the game. NRL needs to sack him. They need to get rid of him. He's done a very bad job. There was a few F-bombs dropped in there as well and everything. And I was like, oh, geez. Like the only way I found out about it as well was sort of weird, because one of them messaged it to me. And I was like, why would you do that? Like, if you're going to post it, then post it. And don't message it to me. So that was the tough thing. Like, I reckon that was the toughest gone through as a referee. Like, and this was like Sunday, like, the way I found out was Sunday. It was Sunday Arvo, and I just woke up from a nap, and I went through my phone after I woke up, and I went through my messages, and one of them messaged it to me, and I was like, what? Like, so I didn't reply to them, but I opened the message, and I opened what they were sharing with me, and then it was the link to the video, and it was like, damn, I was trying to figure out how they found out my name and everything, because it's pretty hard to find out referee's name, because all the appointments and everything are pretty like confidential, and not confidential, but like they're pretty hard to get access to, you know, unless you know them personally or mutually, then it's pretty hard to know someone's name, you know. And then I remembered, because there's on grand final day in Victoria, we have a match day booklet which has all the teams, every team that's playing on grand final, and then at the bottom of the page it has the referee's name as well. And then I was like, oh, at the end, then they found out my name and then everything, and I was like, oh, what do I do? Like, I can leave it, like, it's like, it doesn't really bother me, you know, like, it's just a few parents just, you know, just having a sook over at 14's grand final, you know. And I'm like, nah, you know what, I'm not gonna let this go by, you know. Like, if it happens to me, then one day it's gonna happen to someone else, you know. Like, I can deal with it, but I don't know if the other person's gonna deal with it. So I was like, I called my secretary up, and then I was like, hey, Matt, and then this, that, went to him, explained to him what happened, and he goes, oh, really? It's like, I'm like, is it serious? Like, I can leave it. Like, it's no biggie, you know?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, send me screenshots, send me what you have, and I'm going to send it straight over to the league. And then my head coach called me, and then he's like, you all right? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And then he's like, have some backup. But he said the same thing. And then my president called me as well, and I was like, oh, geez, I feel like this is getting serious now. Like, I'm like, I'm fine. Like, there's no biggie for me, you know, like, I can deal with it. Like, I'm fine. I was 18, 19 at the time, I think. So I was like, I was fine. Like, and then sent screenshots over. And I think the way it happened is then they sent those screenshots over to the league, and the league's very tough. And this is across Australia. I know that you can't abuse match officials outside or during the day on the match or outside, especially outside, like while I'm at home, like I'm doing my personal stuff, like I'm away from rugby league, the season's over, grand final's done. So the league came really hard down on them. I think from what I heard, and I can't confirm it, but like the coach got suspended. He got his accreditation taken off him for the whole of next year, and he had to referee the whole of next year as well, as part of his punishment. The parents who posted stuff, they had to take everything down and apologize. And then the league, the actual club as well, got a fine, I think, as well. And it was pretty big fines they were handing out as well. It was like, we don't tolerate any of that. And I was like, oh, geez, they came down really hard on them as well. I was like, oh. So I think that was the toughest thing I've ever gone through. But like, it didn't bother me too much. But now thinking back on it, like, I'm lucky and I'm happy that I did that, because now everyone else in the league knows that that's not okay. Because if I let that go and that happened again next year to someone else, like, then it's just going to keep happening every year. And then the league's going to be like, oh, it's happened in the past, we can let it go again. Like, I'm happy I stood up for it now that no one else will go through it. And I think that's the biggest thing I took out of it. So I was pretty happy with the way I handled myself as well. So that was tough, I reckon. Really tough. Yeah.
Oh, bro. But I was like, I was shocked. I did not even expect that. That's why I was like, wait, did he just say what he just said?
Yes.
Oh, snap, man.
That was tough, yeah. Like I said, even though I was 18, 19 at the time, it was honestly really, really tough. Like, I didn't know it was going to be like that as a referee. Like, everyone knows when you sign up, like, it's going to be tough a bit, like, here and there. Like, it's going to be people shouting, but that's part of the game, like people shouting and everything. But, you know, people abusing me while I'm away from footy and everything, you know, especially through social media, like, well, it's got nothing to do with me. And the camera angle that she had was, it was pretty bad. Like, I can say, like, you're standing behind the goalpost and you think you're going to call forward pass from there. Like, I was like, come on, get over.
From the side, it'd be different if you're from the side, right?
Yeah. I was from behind the goalpost, and I'm like, get over yourself. Honestly, the 14's grand final, like, have a sook about it, you know. And then they started blaming it on me. Yeah. So that was the toughest year I had, and then that was it. And then, funny enough, about the grand final day that year, my coach came up to me, and you know how I said I went to Brisbane that year as well. Came up to me, he said, oh, do you have your passport ready? And I said, what are you on about this time? He goes, have your passport ready. You're going to Fiji to ref some games there in November. And I was like, oh, geez, big jump. And then he goes, you're doing that as well. I'm like, oh, geez. So before Fiji, on the same day of grand final, he's like, oh, you got, like, I didn't have, like, there's a tough thing about refereeing. he came up to me on that day as well. He's like, "Oh, 2 weeks time from now, so 2 weeks from the grand final day, afterwards, he goes, "Oh, you're gonna go to Dubbo, and then you're gonna ref some games there. Do there some country rugby league games. Everyone goes there to compete. It's in a big tournament carnival. It's under 15s tournament carnival. It's like, I want you to go. They want one referee from Victoria, and I want you to go represent us." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm happy to go." And we went by bus and everything. I went with the team. I went with the under 14s, 15s team from Victoria. I went over there and they played. I was there for the weekend and then came back. I had like 1 or 2 weeks off, and then like it wasn't even 1 or 2 weeks off because I had to keep training and staying fit because I had to go to Fiji and ref games there. So I had 1 or 2 weeks off, but I was still training in between. And then I went to Fiji and was talking Fiji versus Australian affiliated states. They played 3 games against each other, and I ref 2 of those games. One refereeing, 1 touch judge, and I was there for 10 days. And I reckon that was tough as well. Like it was so hot. It was about 28 degrees or something, but like the way it felt like 40 degrees because it's so humid then, and never experienced before. And I reckon that was a good learning curve for me as well. And then from there, I sort of and then came back, and then a week later, I was straight into preseason for next year because it's already late November and we're already into preseason, so we had to get into it. So then I had to go into preseason, and then it leads into last year where I made my rep debut for SG ball and everything. So by the end of last season in 2019, I was so tired. Like I started in 2018 at the start of the year in February, March, and I didn't finish till 2019 at the end of the year after grand final, and which was first week of September, and then that finished. And then we got into preseason this year, and then because like I didn't have a break for 2 years, I sort of had a longer break than everyone else. So I sort of and I sort of got lazy as well, which I learned as well. Like I got really lazy. I'm like, you know what? Like I want to give myself like an extra 1 week or 2 week break because I want it because I feel like I deserve it, because even though I knew like the email came out months ago saying preseason's going to start on this date. So make sure you're ready to go because you're literally going to get flogged when they say it. You're going to get flogged. Like all you do is going to run for like 2 hours straight. And the email came out, and then I was like, you know what, 1 week away, 2 weeks away. And then I didn't do anything. I went into training, and it was probably the worst decision I ever made. I got the worst time trials for everything out of the whole squad. And coach is like, what are you doing, mate? Like, have you not been training at all? I said, nah. So I think that's the biggest lesson I took out of everything. Like it was, as much as I made so many successful trips along the way, and I made some successful debuts, like my SG ball debut, like you learn from those as well. Like you can't have any time off, like you can, just with everyone, you can have time off. Like there's nothing wrong with that. But you got to stay on your feet though. Like, and you got to keep training as well as you're going, especially leading up into preseason. Otherwise your results aren't going to be good, and that's going to reflect going to next year.
Wow. Yeah, true, man. True. I think, I love that you said that, bro, because I was actually listening to a podcast before. That's how I start my day. I always listen to a podcast, and I was listening to an Ed Milet one, and he was talking to Tim Grover. Now, I don't know if you know who Tim Grover is. Tim Grover is Michael Jordan's personal trainer. So to me, I always see, right, and I think you can vouch for this in terms of your coach. There's like, in order for, like when you have a successful person like yourself playing in the rugby league scene, being a referee, there's always someone behind you backing you up. There's always like a mentor. There's always like a coach that is coaching you. That was the same thing with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had Tim Grover. Like Michael Jordan. I truly believe that Michael Jordan could have still became the most successful player that he can be in terms of the whole system, as in the whole basketball association. But for him, like he knew straight away that he needed a guy beside him. Like he needed someone. Yeah. So that's why he got Tim Grover, right? Now, in the podcast I was listening through, and he was talking about, success, right? And it's like the hardest thing. He talks about 3 things. He talks about a caller, a closer, and a cleaner, right? And he was saying, when it comes to cleaners never become satisfied. Like they'll come content in what they do, but they'll never become satisfied. And I feel like, just anyone in general, for all those that are listening right now, whatever you're doing, like what happens is like, if you take a break, by all means, take a break, right? Like chill out, do what you got to do. But don't take it for too long to the point where you become so chilled and relaxed and you become satisfied. Yeah. Because there comes to a point where, you say, you know what, I'm just going to take a break, or Let's say for example you're training. I want to talk to all those out there training. Like, how are you guys going in your training? No, you've been in, like, it's been a COVID-19 situation. The gyms are closed. It's like, what are you guys doing now? And I feel like those that are really wanting to succeed will find a way.
Yeah.
They'll find a way to make a way so then they can make it to the top. And bro, I love that you shared about your story on what happened when you stopped. Like, you end up getting all the glory, you got all the successes, you're able to ref a grand final, and then what happened was, guess what happened?
It's a big job,
you just said, you know what, I'm just gonna take a break. You became a bit complacent, and so as a result, what's the thing that you learned about that, man? Like, you came back to the training, and then you realized that, oh snap.
I think I don't think I took it for granted, but I think I sort of thought, like, after a few years, or after that second year, I thought, like, halfway through the year, like, everything's there for me. Like, I'm already on the path of glory, like, sort of thing. I think that was on the back of your mind, sort of thing. I was like, nah, if I don't go to training, like, I'll be fine on the weekend, sort of thing. Like, I skipped a few trainings here and there as well. Like, I'll be fine. And then because I was so tired at the end of the year, like, that break, I was like, I need a longer break than everyone else. Like, I feel like I deserve it. But then, like I said, I felt too relaxed, and that then obviously showed in the first preseason training we got back. Like, you just can't let that happen. Like, you gotta have your rest in between, like, and your recovery in between. And at the time, I didn't know how to recover properly. Like, I did not recover properly. Like, and now I know it's like about how you do your stretches at home as well. Going and doing the spa sessions or anything like that, ice baths and stuff like that. Like, now I'm really grateful. Like, I know, like, I'm grateful that happened to me now. Like, I don't want it to happen to me again. Like, I know that that happened for a reason, like you said, like, now I know how to recover properly, look after my body properly. Like, even if it is a long season, like, I'm looking forward to again, then I know how to look after myself so that doesn't happen, And if it does happen again, like, halfway through the year, I'll be like, oh, I need this weekend off just to recover, sort of thing. And I don't think I asked for a weekend off as well, because I just wanted to, just keep refereeing because I like doing it. But I sort of forgot about my body and how to look after it as well at the same time, Like, we still go through a fair bit, not as much as players, but we still, like, the amount of running we do in the field, like, if you focus, it's a bit hard because we got to set the 10 meters for everyone just to make sure they're coming back. And the way it works is, like, your first step as a referee is always forward. So we're always told to take 2-3 steps forward. And then after that, it's sort of an arc. It depends which way the ball goes. It's you arcing with the ball, and then you're going back diagonally on 45-degree angle, is what they say. And then you're setting your 10 meters from there. So you have a good view on the ruck, and then you have a good view on your 10 meters on both sides as well. And then from there, you just repeat the process again for 5 tackles for each team. Sort of 3 steps forward again, arcing with the ball. So you have like your chest to the ball sort of thing. So if it's up that way, so you sort of chest to the ball and it's on a degree angle with you. And you just repeat that whole process, honestly. And it's get stuff. And then there's a kick down the other field. So you got to run so you're on good view. And then once the tackle's made, make your 10 meters. And you're just sort of repeating that. And it gets full on, to be honest. And your fitness levels are definitely tested.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn. Bro, I'm learning some stuff, man. And it's crazy because, like, you know, I'm still playing, right? Like, I'm playing, you know, in the Sydney Shield competition. I just got back, bro. Like, I've been doing, like, I took 2 years off. You know, I was doing Bible college, finished that up. And then after I finished that, I was like, yeah, can you get back in? And it's crazy because, like, for me, I've always been the type to, you know, respect the referees. Like, you know, like you would know, bro. When I was playing, I was always the captain. I was always like,
you're pretty humble,
leading teams and stuff, you know.
I still remember.
And so yeah. So with me, I was always about like respecting the referee's decision. Like, you know, obviously if it's not going to work out, it's not going to work out. Like, you can't do anything about it. Move on. And I don't know, like, you know, it wasn't something that I was like, you know, I want to, you know, make sure that the ref is on my side. I'm like, bro, you don't realize that they probably cop just as much as we do. In the game,
it's a fair bit of cop, like,
you know what I mean?
But there's, it comes with it. Like, everyone knows it comes with it. But like, you gotta, the way, I don't want to like scare anyone from like not joining to become a referee. But like, the way you see it is, you just got to be prepared. You got to know that it's gonna be there, and you're gonna cop stuff. Even like, believe it or not, even under 10s, like when you're refereeing under 10s, like that's meant to be a fun game where you just see your, like, parents should be seeing their kids run around on the weekend. there's still like parents like I see on the weekend, because now I do coaching for like new referees coming through. You see like parents like abusing like a referee. It's like under 10s game. Like, get over yourself. Like, and I go over there. I'm like, you need to be quiet, or else you're going to be kicked out. Like, and then like it shouldn't get to that point. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be like someone has to come up to you to tell you to be quiet and not abuse the referee. And like every now and then, like I'm not saying you can't say anything, but you still have you're entitled to your own opinion, and you can say whatever you want. But like, don't be so abusive about it. You know what I mean? So I think that's the toughest thing, but like that comes with it, and I think you sort of learn to cope with it as well. And there's a lot of support network as well. Like the way we have set it up in Melbourne, like there's a lot of support network. If you need help with this, then you only have to ring one person or a couple of people, then they can help you out with it and how to deal with it and how to manage stuff like that.
Yeah, mad. Yo. Man, I'm getting a lot of insights, man. I'm getting impacted. I say this in every podcast that I do. Like whenever I'm listening to people's stories, like I feel impacted by it. Like in a positive way. You know,
it's good though. Like if I can share anything along the way, which is good, like I said, like my SG ball debut, I reckon I don't think I've been so nervous. Like I'm usually so calm, like leading up to the game. I always have my headphones in. Just a little story about that. Like the way I got told was like, I think the draw, the way it was set up for our SG ball team, like our Thunderbolts team, the first 3 games were at home, and then the next 2, I think, were away in Sydney. I don't know against what teams. And then I had the first 2 games, I was touch judge, and then I made a pretty bad call the first game, and I made a pretty bad call the second game. I was like, I'm getting dropped for the third one. Like we get, like believe it or not, we get dropped as well. Like if you have a bad performance, or like if you're not up to standards, like us today, and then the appointments came out, and I didn't get named for it, and I was like, oh, I got dropped. Like it's expected. And then he gives me a ring the next day. He goes, I want you to still come to the game this week. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. And like, he goes, because after the next 2 away games, when they come back home for the 3rd week, I want you to make your debut as a referee. I'm like, oh, geez. He goes, I want you to just watch this week and just analyze the whole game. Just be prepared for it, so you know what you're in for. Went down that weekend, watched the game, and then the next 2 weekends after that, they were away in Sydney. And then leading up to that game, when they had the home game, I think it was like round 6, I think we're talking, or round 7, I think. It was Thunderbolts versus Rabbitohs. I think I was like, oh, man, I've been working for this for a long time, and it's finally here after a year and a half. And we're talking, it's February, and during February, like it's really hot weather here in Melbourne. Excuse me. Yeah, it was really hot weather. I think it was like 31, 32 degrees, and I was sweating already before the game had even started. Like we were doing our warm-ups. I'm usually really calm as well. Like I was calm getting into the ground. I was calm during the warm-up, and then it was not until like maybe 5 minutes before the game, the heart started racing to me. I was like, oh, jeez, like what's going on here? It's a bit racing, you know? And then went out there, blew the whistle for start the game, and then sort of like same with the players. As soon as that first tackle was made, like it sort of goes away. Just focus in the game, and then I was like, oh, I'm back into it. And then like I think the only thing I was nervous about, or like if I had the chance to do it again, like just enjoy the game a bit more, maybe. I was so nervous about blowing the first penalty because it was my debut, and I wanted to make a good impression so I don't get dropped. I think I sort of forgot to like enjoy the game in the moment, like because I worked so hard for it. And I sort of forgot about it, and it happened so quick as well. And then the game was over, and I was pretty stoked with my coach. Like I had a pretty good performance. Like I remember the game like it was yesterday. It was a really solid performance. The first penalty I blew happened to be an obstruction penalty. Of course, it was an obstruction penalty. Like confused. I think it was a pretty good game. I think pretty tight contest as well. Like if you remember from the highlights, I think it was try. Then and I think South won by 4 points in the end, I think, which was tough. And then the next weekend they were away, and then the next weekend after that they were back home for their final game. So they only had 5 home games and 4 away, so which was good. They had an extra home game, and then appointments came out Tuesday night, and I was named again. I'm like, oh geez, yes, like I did well, so that means I got appointed again. So I was pretty happy with it. Made my debut that year, so I was pretty stoked. Like to make my debut in rep level, I think is for me it was a good achievement. Like it all paid off in the end. Like a lot of sacrifice went into preseason, making sure that all worked out, and a lot of fitness sessions, a lot of training drills. And I was just glad, honestly, out of everything, I was just really happy and stoked. And like just to make it, I know there's potential now. Like if I can keep pushing for it, then there's always a little light in the end for me.
Yeah, wow. But I love, man, like this is so cool, bro. It's so cool to hear it from an actual referee standpoint. Like to hear it from someone
Yeah.
who's on the other side, the one that's actually making the calls, the one that actually has the whistle in their hand.
Yeah.
It's really cool, man, to hear your story, and even just to hear the background behind how you became the man that you are now, like how you became the person you are, not just within the referee, but just in life. Like I feel that, just from listening to what you're saying, like you've went through a lot of resilience. There's a lot of moments where you had to bounce back from things, like from your story, from sharing your story, sharing your story with the under 14s grand final, and then to the point where you're getting sent to so many places, to Fiji, to Dubbo, to Brisbane, and then coming to this point now where you had your SG Ball debut, and then obviously a few weeks before that you had a pretty poor performance, and then learning how to bounce back, man. So, bro, my question to you, man, from all this stuff is like, what makes you keep going? Like, what made you, when you wanted to stop? Sorry, not stop, but like when you started to fall short, or you started to, drop the game a bit, and then you got dropped. What made you come back up?
I think when I was like, to say not on the top, but when I was doing really well, I was enjoying it, and I was enjoying life and the way it was progressing for me. Like, and then I know there was going to be continuous progression for me, but then when I got dropped, I was like, oh, this isn't me. Like taking a backward step, But like just the same way with players, I think it's the same with referees. Like you can't completely control the way you perform. There's always going to be stuff outside that going to be a factor into it. Like if you miss a tackle, like it's always going to happen. Like if you miss a tackle in a game with the referee, you're going to miss something, or if you blow a penalty that wasn't a penalty, like that's just going to happen in the game. Like stuff like that, I think. And then I put it back into like training and then focusing on that, because I wanted to get back to where I was, to referee a good game. Like for me, I wanted the players to see that I'm a good referee and that I make consistent calls. Like if they have me, like on the day when they see me, like, oh, we've got Mohammad or we've got Mo, like, yeah, we're going to have a good game. Like we're not going to have any inconsistent calls. Like, so stuff like that, I think that just keeps pushing me to just keep going forward with it. And I just don't want to say I want to stay on the top, but I want to stay with where I was, like the way I was going and the progression I was making. I want to maintain it and keep moving forward.
Yeah, man, I believe in it, man. I believe in sustainability. Always being able to sustain yourself in certain things. Like I think it's not just a referee thing. I think it's a life thing too. Just in anything that you want to do, whether you want to do business, whether you want to, become, the best fitness, PT or whatever you're doing in life. It's all about sustainability. You can reach to the top, right? You can make it to the top, but the question is, can you stay there? Can you stay? Can you, like for you, it's like, oh, can you actually stay, becoming the, one of the top, I would say one of the top. I wouldn't say the, but one of the top dogs in terms of the referee, association. Like, can you actually sustain? And I always believe this, right? I think about, star players, people that succeed in life. It's like, what makes them different to us, us normal people? Like, why did they succeed and we're just your average? It's like, you think about it, they'll make it to the top, but they will stay at the top. They know and they learn how to stay at the top. They know how to do the extras. They know that training is important. They know that, mindset's important too. Even the cold baths, like, having a cold bath through recovery, they fully understand that. And I guess people in the average world, people that, just do average things won't understand that.
Like you said, the ice baths and that will suck. Like, but then they benefit you for a reason, There's a reason why they tell you to do it. After every rep game we have to do it. Like it's mandatory. Like we have to have an ice cold bath we have to be in there. It's I don't like the typical way how everyone does it. A minute in, a minute out, a minute in, a minute out, and then finish off. So it's like 5 minutes worth in total. we have to do it. It's mandatory just to look after ourselves. And then, like you said, doing the extras, um, even like stretches. I think stretches, like I learned this last year, like they're really important. Just staying at home, like when you've got nothing to do, like when you're just bored, like even if you're not going to train, just do a 5 minute stretch. Like you don't see how beneficial it is for you. Like I'm a lot more stretchy like now I am, and my balance has improved a lot. Like I'm really happy with the way it's going, and like I learned this off my trainer, so he was really good with me. Like he said that it's not only good for you, like just sport wise and everything, but it's also good for you just like day to day as well. Like if you're at work and everything as well, like if you're stretching before and stretching after, like it's good to just maintain it a bit.
Yeah, yeah, man. 100%, man. 100%. Bro, at the moment, man, like in my head, I'm thinking, you know what? I want to ask him this question. Bro, lately, like you've been talking a lot about your, like your trainer or like your mentor, your coach. Could you kind of share too? Because I don't know, I just feel that there are people out there that probably don't really understand the importance of having someone beside you or having a mentor, having a coach beside you. Bro, would you say that, you know, for you being the person that you are, that you could have done it alone? Would you say that?
Nah,
Was there any way that you could have done it alone?
no way. Like I'd be still, to be honest, I'd be doing under 10s, 11s still, to be honest with you. Like my coach who I got like going into my after that year where I just did the 6 weeks of refereeing, which is under nines, and then the next year going into 2018, I think. Yeah, 2018, going into 2018. The coach that I had, we actually, Victoria actually hired the coach from Parramatta. So his name's Brad. Like they got him to come down here in Sydney to be the head coach for referees and look after us, and as well as coordinate some club stuff as well. So that was his primary role, to look after referees. So they moved him from Parramatta down here. He's been involved with the NRL, as far as I know, for 20 or 30 years during doing admin stuff and all other kinds of roles. And then he's been with the referees as well in the past. And then they moved him down here to be with us. And then I met him, and I think that's where it sort of clipped. I met him, and then it's like, where do you want to see yourself? And I sort of was pretty honest with him. I said, I want to see how far I can go. Like I want to keep pushing it, you know, and just if there's a potential to make the NRL, like I want to keep pursuing it, you know, because like knowing for us to referees, it's pretty hard because we're not a rugby league state. We're like AFL dominated, and that also impacts us as referees as well, because like referees is mostly done in New South Wales and Queensland. There's a lot more potential there going through the ranks, and their systems are a lot better, and their high performance squads are a lot better as well. They've got more people as well in place, and more practices and procedures in place as well to help you with that. Whereas we were a bit limited with that at the start, but now because he's come into the role, he's sort of helped that out a bit. And I think because of him, I think not just for me, but I think the whole state's benefited from that. And I think we can see the results as well, which is really good, because without him, then none of this would have happened, I reckon.
Yeah, yeah, 100%, man. And also your coach too, right? Like having a coach to go back to. Like for me, I have mentors. I have people in my life that I go to. You know, even coaches. You know, people to really sharpen you. And I love that you shared that you actually need someone. Like you need a coach in your life
Yeah,
to help you.
because like even us with referees, like we have some tough games, eh? Like we go back, like one thing I'll say is like when we make a shit call or a bad call, like it's honestly the worst feeling in the world. Like we hate it. We hate it because we don't want that. That's the last thing we want. Like, and I feel like players sort of don't understand that as well. Like, but for me, like when I make a bad call, I've learnt now. I own up to it straight away on the field. Like I'm like, sorry boys, like wrong call, or like that I should have not done that. Like sorry, like there's nothing else you can do like otherwise than apologize. Like the call can't be reversed. That's the one thing you got to learn. The call can't be reversed, and you got to sort of just move on and just got to cop it on the chest and just learn from it.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love that you shared that. I love that you shared about, you know, copying it and, you know, accepting, because that's a life thing. People don't realize that's actually life. You're gonna go through moments where you make dumb decisions. You're gonna go through a moment where you're gonna make a decision and things don't work out. And it's like the question is, are you actually going to own what you say or the
Yeah,
decisions that you make?
and I feel like a lot of people don't do that when they're coming through the ranks or like sort of when they're young, and that's something that doesn't get taught, I think. And it's something I think you got to just learn. And you just got to be honest with the players, and I think you get more respect from them, especially the captains. Like, oh, it's okay. Like everyone makes mistakes, sort of thing. Like there's always going to be a player like that's going to be like, you know, a bit of a hard ass to you, and just going to say, oh no, like you're not a good ref and everything like that. But I think that just comes with the game. You're not always going to get good captains that are always humble like yourself. Like they're going to approach you nicely, and you know, like there's always going to be those players. But it's part of the game, and it's what makes the game good, though. Because if everyone's the same like that, then it just makes it too predictable, sort of thing, and it makes no fun. You know, like every now and then, there's always that one player that's annoying. You're just like, oh, man, just stop it. Like, go away. I don't even want to talk to you anymore. Like, it just happens, but it's part of the game, and you just got to love it. And that's why I think I really enjoy refereeing, because I've met a lot of people along the way as refereeing, more than I did as a player, I reckon. And the connections I've made is really good, and there's a lot of friendships made along the way as well. So, and when it's a weekend day, you look at like the appointments come out, like, oh, who's on that same ground as you? You're like, oh yeah, the boys are back together this
100%, bro. I fully believe in that, man. It's just like when you go to work. You know, it's just like when you go to work and you know, and like, you know, the boys are there. Like, it's just like, bro, it's gonna be hectic.
Yeah, it's like, it's hard because like same with your work roster, like the boys can't. There's a reason why the boys don't get put together, you know, and it's the same.
100.
Like a lot of the boys, we don't. The only time we're all at the same ground is leading up to the finals, because the way it works for finals here is like week 1 of finals is done over 2 grounds, and it's the same with week 2 is done over 2 grounds, and grand finals done under 1 ground. So there's a very high chance like the boys are going to be at the same ground, especially in grand final day. It's just chaos with all the boys together. We're all loud and noisy, and there's 2 games going on at the one field. It's pretty loud refereeing. There's big crowd going on, and then the coach is like, you guys should be the least of my problems today. And we're the ones at the top, you know, being a big chaos. But like, we just got to do it. Like, it's fun though, whenever you're together. And I think once this whole COVID thing's over, I think that's what everyone's looking forward to, just being on the same ground together, just, you know, catching up. Like, other than that, like, everyone's just been doing it through Zoom, and it's good to catch up a bit, but it will be better, I think, once we actually go out there and referee and actually get to see each other in person, will be a lot better though.
Yeah, man, I love that, man. So, I want to take at the moment now, I really want to focus on your refereeing, because, you know, for me, I'm a player. It's crazy. I'm a player, and I'm talking to a referee right now. Yeah. But you know, behind all this, behind the title of me being a player, and behind the title of you being a referee, like, we're brothers. You know, we're just like mates that connected through high school. And yeah, man, I'm curious to know, man, like when you're becoming a referee, right? Like, I'm a player, right? Like, I'm a person that plays, plays footy, plays in the rugby league scene. But you're a referee, right? But what are some of the things that we need to know as a player ourselves? Because I feel like there are going to be people listening that are players themselves, and I guess this is probably the best time right now for me to really get your approach and your mindset and your perspective, because, you know, for me as a player, I learned at a younger age that, you know, that referees are human. They do make mistakes, and for me, I'm like, that's okay, right? But, you know, I believe that this is an opportunity where I can talk to you as a referee, to share to some of the things that us players need to be aware of. So yeah, man, my question to you, bro, is, you know, as a player, what are some of the things that we're gonna be aware of for you being a referee?
Like, I'm really glad you mentioned that before, like how referees make mistakes too, and we're only humans. Like, you see some of those signs up at a few local grounds. Some people put it up, and I think, like, I touched on this before. Like, we honestly hate it when we make mistakes. And I think one thing for players to know is that there's a lot of work that's put in leading up to the game, like the preparation as well. Like, for a rep game, like, there's because the technology is there for us, because the cameras are there, and we're very invested with microphones, like the NRL referees. So it's the same thing. We'll follow the same processes going into a game. The one thing, so like, after a game, we have so the way I do it, like for a rep game, talking hypothetically, if the game's played on a Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, I do my review. I start my review Saturday night and I finish it off on Sunday. So I do my own personal review, which is just for me to benefit out of. So what I can pick up from the game. And then if it's a Saturday game, then usually my coach has his review done by the Sunday. So I should get it by midday Sunday. And then I can sort of look at what I've picked up on my review and sort of look at what he's picked up on his review and sort of see this is the sort of stuff I'm still missing in the games, Like if it's a little thing, like the one thing we always pick up is on like markers not being square and something like that. And players think we don't realize it. It's the one obvious thing. We go into half-time and we talk about it. That's why when we come in second half, you see a few extra penalties. It's because we get told to set your standards really high, or not too high. So you got to maintain your standards. So that's why when referees come out and they tell you to just follow what they say, there's a reason for that, because we get told. Otherwise, if we don't maintain a standard, then the game gets messy. And then when the game gets messy, it gets blame on the referee. It doesn't get blame on the referee, but it just sort of means that you're not controlling the game really well. So then you should be. Then that means you're not ready for that level yet, So that's the sort of thing that you do. And then for me, after my SG ball debut, I did the review with him together on the Monday. So we have Monday reviews or something like that. And then, but because nowadays we don't really have to go in for a review, you do your own personal review, your coach does your review, and then you do a phone hookup. And then off that hookup phone, and then you just talk about what you've picked up. It goes for anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour, and you're just chatting about the game and where you've improved. You got to have the video up like we're doing now. And you're sort of viewing little areas of the game. There's about 20 clips that you go through, and each clip will be around 5 to 10 seconds long from it. And you're picking up areas about where you can pick up. We're not looking at tries. The tries are scored, and you don't, unless they're contentions behind it, and then they're a bit questionable, then we'll look at them. Other than that, we don't look at tries. We look at during the match mostly. Was that play the ball right, or was that? We don't look at forward passes as well. That's one thing people got to realize. Forward passes, if we don't see it, then we'll move on. It's end of story right there. We'll look at forward, play the balls, markers not being squared. Are the players coming back 10 meters? Are they shooting off early? Was that obstruction? Did he caught the ball on the outside shoulder or inside shoulder? Did the block runner go through, or did he stop in the line? Stuff like that we'll look at. Other than that, we don't look at, like I said, we don't look at tries. We don't look at penalty goals. We don't look at any of that. And then we'll look at a few penalties just here and there. We don't look at every penalty. We look at every penalty. If we look at every penalty, then we're going to be there for hours. We look at some of the questionable ones, or the ones that we feel were hard and tough penalties against teams. It's like a slow penalty. For example, they're on the line, they've defended the whole set, and now give a penalty on the fifth tackle. And then they've done really well. But because they've defended on the line for 2-3 tackles, three or two sets, that's why they're going to be slow. So that's why we take that in consideration as referees as well, that you guys are tired, so that's why you're probably slow to get up. So that's the one thing I think players don't realise, is then we review it and be like, oh, that was a tough penalty. Felt like it was a bit too harsh, and that then lead it up to a try. So then that's how the coaches view it, right? And then that comes into your review, and then they'll take that in consideration. It's if you do that a couple of times, then it looks really bad, and then before you know it, you're getting dropped the next weekend because those two or three tries or 2 or 3 penalties you gave lead it up to a try, which then they lost the game by.
Yeah.
Stuff that the coaches take in consideration, and the stuff that we got to look into as well. If you're on your goal line right now and you're tackling for 3 or 4 sets in a row, obviously you're going to be really tired because you've just made 20 tackles because you're that tired. So you're going to be really slow to get up. So you got to think about it. And the way I've learned is if you're going to blow that penalty on the 5th tackle, think about if you were going to blow that penalty on the 1st tackle. And if you're going to do it, then blow it. Then go for it and back yourself. If not, then just let the players go and just let them bash each other, honestly, which is what we get told. Let them go at each other, and they'll completely forget about who's refereeing the game, and you're not in the picture, which is what we want. As long as we're not in the picture, then that's a good thing. And I think we saw that in NRL last night as well. I'm not a fan of one referee because we can get in that later as well. But going back to one referee, just the opportunities for us gets reduced. I'd say by 80% for us going to NRL now, because it's just that tough. Because that's why I think a lot of referees weren't happy about it. That's why. Because the juniors coming up, they're gonna so the next person, just say whoever was in line, instead of coming through the NRL between the next 1 year or two, probably has to wait the next 5 to 10 years now to get into the NRL, and that pushes everyone else back. That's in the pathway as well, which is a bit tough. But I reckon it's the NRL. They call the shots, so it's a bit tough. I reckon. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, man, 100%. So, just to clarify, man, like, it's like, for us as players, the thing that we're going to be aware of is that, you guys going to make some real difficult calls. You guys having the whistle in your hand.
It's not easy. Like, what we get told sometimes, like, I don't want to say, like, this is what we get told to do in the weekend, but, like, the way we were sort of told to go out and referee is to put your whistle in your pocket and only use it when you need to, so the players can enjoy the game and they're the ones controlling the game, sort of thing. Like, you're still the referee, you're still enforcing the law, but it's them playing the game and controlling how the game plays out. Like, they're bashing each other, like that player got injured and then they ended up scoring a try because he wasn't in position, sort of thing. So, like, you don't want to get involved and be like, oh, penalty here, there, and then they go down the end of the field and they end up scoring a try, sort of thing. Unless the penalty is really needed, they say, like, just put your whistle in your pocket, sort of thing. Like, not necessarily in your pocket, but, like, just hold it.
Yeah.
And then let them play the game and let's see how they play the game out, And if they're not arguing back with you and they're not, swearing at each other too much, then that means you're doing a pretty good job. You have nothing to worry about. And then you're refereeing the game well, and then your coach will be happy as well, which is what you want.
I love that, man. I love that because, I was just thinking about it just then. I love that you said that thought of leaving your whistle in your pocket.
Yeah.
That thought, because like I'll never forget, man, playing in high school, right? And like you'll know this too, bro. When we'll play like in high school and we'll play, footy on the field, like how different it was not to have a referee.
Yeah.
To not have a teacher to actually referee the game. Like I'm just thinking about it right now, man. I'm like, bro, I'll never forget the times when I'll play footy with the boys, and I'll always try and make sure that, sweet. Like for me, I was always the type of player, and like everyone would know, if you actually knew me in high school, I was always the one to be like, hey, that's a forward pass. Like I'd always like pick up on it. I'd be like,
yeah, come on,
like that's a forward pass.
Turn the ball over, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh, turn it over. But I was like playing, right? But I was also being the referee at the same time. But the only reason why I realized, bro, I'm like, there's actually a point. There's always a purpose as to why you do what you do. I learned to myself that the only reason why I seen that as important to actually say, all right, make the call, is because if you don't, and if there's no kind of like law or someone to enforce the calling or the ruling, bro, what ends up happening is anyone can do whatever the heck they want.
Yeah, exactly.
When you're playing footy. And that's why I look at it, I'm like, bro, this is where you have to honor referees. Because you think about it, if there was no referees in the game, then the game wouldn't be as... Game, yeah, there'll be no game, let alone, bro, there'll be no, clarity. Like, it won't make sense. Like, you have someone calling the shot saying, oh, yeah, this is a forward pass. And, like, you'd know this, bro, like, playing in high school. Like, back in the days, the boys would be like, oh, that's a forward pass. And you're like, bro, like, it was back. And it's like, that's the reason why you need referees.
Yeah.
I'm like, bro, it makes total sense as to why we need referees. It's like, they're the ones that make the shots. And, like, it's probably best to have a referee in the game, because what happens is, like, they make things a lot more smoother. Like, the game becomes a lot more composed.
And the thing is, like, I know a lot of people know this, but there's still, like, surprisingly, a lot of people out there still that think that we make the rules. Like, it's so frustrating. Like, honestly, you got to realize we don't make the rules. We just enforce them. Like, the rules are made from the NRL, then they go to the states, then the states adjust them a bit because they're allowed to, and then they come down to us. So they got to realize, like, we have no say in what goes in there. Like, we have absolute, like, even in the NRL, like, they'll have absolute no say of what goes in there. The NRL will probably make the rules up, and then the referees will just have to enforce them. And that's the same with us as well. Like, we have no say. And I know a lot of people know this, but like I said, it's honestly frustrating that a few people still don't understand that. Oh.
I love that you said that, man. Like, I love that you said enforce, because people don't realize that. People don't realize that you do, like, you're just the enforcer. It's just like, You know what? I'm just gonna bring it up because I can. This is my podcast show. I can do whatever the heck I want.
Yeah.
Bro, let's talk about, like, I know it's a bit off topic, but it's all about the word enforcement, right? If you look at and by the way, this is just a disclaimer out there. I ain't for this. I don't know if you realize, but there's this like racism thing happening right now in America. I ain't enforcing anything. I have no control out of this, but this is just my personal opinion. You have people out there, talking about the Black Lives Matter and sort of things like that, and I was thinking about the police, the people. Obviously their goal is to enforce the law. It's like the same thing. Like referees, I believe, are similar to the police officers in terms of like this world that we live in. It's like you need to realize that they may be making decisions because of the law, but in some cases, like some coppers or some police officers do make decisions out of their kind of own will. And I guess that's a hard thing when it when you are given a role to enforce things. Like I feel like for you, being a referee, like you have these rules that you have to follow and you have to enforce it so
like I said,
the game makes sense.
I sort of touched on it earlier, and like I said, you're sort of seen as like the bad guy, and I think people don't realize, like, we can all just like just back out and go like, okay, we can have the weekend off as well, and then you'll have no referee, you know what I mean? But I think it's because we all still love the game, and as much like no one wants to back out. I don't think any referee will say, oh, they'll go on a strike or something like that. Like no one will do that, like, because everyone just loves the game, and like it's tough being like the bad guy because you're sort of getting abused, but because you love what you do, but you're getting abused for it. And I think that's the same with the cops as well. Like they're enforcing the law, but then when they pull someone over for speeding or something, and people are mad for it, but they're only just doing their job,
Yeah.
Their job is like to make sure everyone else is safe, I think it's the same with us. Like we're trying to enforce the laws of rugby league laws in there, and then a few people are unhappy when it doesn't go their way, and they get frustrated and agitated, and then they start taking it out on us, and then they end up getting sin binned, or they end up getting it sent off for the rest of the game, and then they get even more pissed off, and then the team, then it gets worse, which is what we don't want.
Yeah, 100%, man. And so I guess for me, one thing I'm learning right now too, just by listening to what you're talking about, just like in anything, you have referees, right? In rugby league, you have referees. Their goal is to enforce the rulings, the calls. They make the calls so then that the game is smooth and that there's structure. And I believe that's the same thing when it comes to life. And you have like the police officers. Like to me personally, like I know people that are in the police force. And I'm not saying that I've got the connections. I'm just saying that I know people, right? And for me, I'm like, bro, they are probably one of the most loving people. The only thing that they've kind of signed up to is actually enforcing the law.
Yeah.
People need to understand that. People need to understand that when you're a referee, when you're a police officer, when you're a teacher, people get offended because they're not wanting what they want. Like they're like, oh, I want it my way. I want it this way. I'm like, think about it. Just think about it right now. If you done things your own way, like you're gonna feel like, oh yeah, I've got it all set. But when you have people in line, like for example, like I'll go back to you being a referee. I reckon if it wasn't for referees in the game, bro, the game wouldn't be as like as good. Like I don't think if we didn't have people like you, bro, refereeing our games as players, like then the game wouldn't be as like smooth, or even just as we wouldn't even be able to play the passion, the love that we have for the game without referees like you. So I guess for all those out there listening, my encouragement as the podcast host is to just always understand that that referees, anyone that has to enforce the law, just like stay curious, just stay curious and question yourself. Don't think that you know it all. Don't think that like you're all there and that you know how referees are. Because at the end of the day, we all create stories. We all have a story in our mind. Like we think we know who referees are. We know that referees don't they don't listen to us, or they're gronks or they're pigs. At the end of the day, you got to realize they're human too. They're just enforcing the law, like
Yeah.
they're just enforcing the rules. They're just the one that controls the game, so that the game is fair. That's pretty much the way I've seen it, man.
I'd probably have to just touch on that as well. Like,
Yeah, man, 100%.
yeah, like, I think the only thing I'd have to say is like, if there's a referee you don't get along, I know there's always be players that'll be like, oh, that's the one referee I don't get along, sort of thing. I think the one thing I'll say, like, honestly, go up to him before the game or go up to him after the game, just see how he's doing, say how his day was, catch up to him, see how his weekend was. Talk about, like we're doing now, just have like a 5-minute conversation with him, and then it'll help you change your mind, honestly. Because if you hear some of the backstories about referees and everyone and what most of us do, most of us that do it, all of us have like another side hustle. Like I said, like for me, it's like working at Macca's and doing education, like studying at the same time. Everyone else has like a side hustle as well, so we can easily like I said, easily walk away from the game, but we chose not to because we actually love rugby league that much. Like, just like players, we actually love going out there refereeing because we really enjoy it. Not because we want to be the main focus or we want to control the game, but because like we just love the game, and because most of us have just like born and bred here, and like you said, for Sydney or Melbourne here, and we just love rugby league, watching it on the TV, watch your favorite team. It's the same with us as well. I think just go out there and actually just have a quick chat with the referee, and it'll help you change your mind about how you view them.
Yeah, 100%, bro. I want to do that, man. I want to do that, bro. Because I've been empowered by what you've said.
Yeah.
I'm a player myself. I think for me, I always question myself, how can I be a better player? And I reckon one of the best ways we can do that is by actually being, a player that goes up to the refs and check up to see how they're going. And I've always been like that. I've always been like that with everyone that I hang out with. But I didn't really see that as a thing for referees. But, just talking to you, man, I feel like, I can start something. I can start something in the area of Sydney. I don't think it's going to be much of an issue to go up to a referee and say, hey, I just done a podcast with a referee. I've been inspired. Can I just check to see how you're going? Like, I'm not even wanting to, enforce anything. I don't want anything from you. I'm literally genuinely wanting to see how you're going.
I know a lot of players do this at the moment. They come up to the referee to clarify a rule or a law. Like feel free to honestly ask a referee a question. Like, if you're unsure about a law or something, like, ask them, because you'd rather have that clarification, and be like, and you can then go off that, like, to start a conversation if you wanted, like, if you don't know how to start it off with them, like, even if that helps, sort of thing, like, because we're more than happy to help you understand the law, so it makes it easier for you and makes it easier for us as well when you play the game.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%, man. Oh, bro, I'm so keen, bro. I'm so keen to get back on the field,
honestly,
bro.
Starts up, back up, like, or hopefully it's for everyone that's listening, hopefully it's changed their mind a bit for how they view referees. Like I said, there's a lot of work put in through it, a lot of pre-season trainings that goes on behind the scenes. Like I said, like, all our training sessions, they've got to do with speed, stamina, agility, fitness levels, and all that kind of stuff that goes into it. We don't do too much contact stuff, but like I said, all about our fitness levels. We put a lot of work in. We want to see the game grow as much as it can, not just here in Melbourne, but like across Australia. And hopefully we can keep a lot of people involved, keep getting more juniors coming through, under 6s and 7s. Like, we can get more people out. Like, that's the end goal, I reckon, for everyone. That should be the end goal for everyone, I think.
Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. But yeah, man, I'm going to start wrapping it up now. This podcast episode. And one of the things I always love doing, bro, is I always love allowing the special guest on the Impact Podcast show to just share a bit of insight, or just even an encouragement that you could possibly encourage, even if I don't know, it might be for a player or a referee, future referees. But whatever you got in your heart, man, I want to take this opportunity to give it to you and just answer the question of, what's one encouragement that you can share to everyone out there listening?
I think maybe just a couple. Just the way I went through it, I think if you sort of like don't enjoy playing anymore, or you sort of fall out of in love with playing the game, but you still want to stay involved, definitely look into refereeing. I can say this without a doubt. You'll honestly love doing it, because all the juniors that I've had come through and I've coached through are all loving it right now. And that might be here just in Melbourne, but like they're all enjoying it. You get to meet everyone. You meet new friends. You're earning money on the side. You're going out there, and it's pretty good money as well. Like not lying. You're refereeing the game for a few hours during the weekend. You're also staying fit. Like it's also good for you. And the other thing, like I said before, just you don't like referees. I know a lot of people view us like I said, as the bad guys. Honestly, just go out there and have like a 5-minute conversation with the referee. They'll help you change your mind about how you see referees. And if you can do that, then, and hopefully if I've changed someone's mind today, and if they go out and do that, then, you know, like I felt really happy about doing this and jumping on the podcast today.
Yeah, man, bro, appreciate you jumping on. Guys, this is all part of the process. This is all part of why we run the Impact Podcast show. It's always the Impact of one. So if you have actually been encouraged and impacted by this message, like, you know, my encouragement to you is to share it to someone else.
Yeah.
The best way to impact someone is to impact someone else. Like, if you're getting impacted now by listening to this Impact Podcast show, share it to someone else, because you never know who's going to be inspired by this.
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%, man.
Thanks for having me,
bro, 100%, bro. But I appreciate you jumping on, man. Thank you for jumping on. But bro, the question that I want to ask you before we finish up is, bro, what's the best way for people to kind of connect with you?
Best way to connect with me, if you can put my link up or something up, just through Instagram or Facebook. Like, you can search my name up on Facebook, will just be Mohammad Husaini, and then Instagram will just be Moe__, I think. And I think pretty easy. If you can help put up.
100%, bro. Yeah, we'll do that, man.
If anyone has any questions, anything about refereeing or anything about how to get in touch with someone, I'm more than happy to help you out. Just shoot me a message or something, and then I'll help you out as soon as I can.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, guys, for all those that are watching this on YouTube, the links will be done in the description below. But for all those that are listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, I encourage you guys to jump into our Instagram page, and he will actually be on the page itself.
Yeah.
And if you want, just go through the following, and you'll be able to scroll through and just search up Moe, and he'll be up on there too. So that's just for everyone. I want to connect with him through Instagram. But if you only have Facebook, jump onto our Facebook page, and we'll look into building that for Mohammed for that. But other than that, man, I want to say thank you for joining, bro. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure, bro.
I appreciate you taking
really
the time out.
Yeah. Hopefully, a few people have changed their mind about how they view us, but you know, we'll see how it goes.
100%, man. Appreciate it. So guys, that is all we got for the Impact Podcast show. I want to say thank you all for watching, and also to those that are listening, and we'll see you guys in the next one.